What's up, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen? Here for another week. Sitting down in the locker room with myself, with Spoon Noble, pretty face right here, and Miss Faida Crouch. Man, I haven't spoken to you in a while, actually, on one of these fights. Usually backstage, or I'm not here, you here. Um, it's there's been a whole lot happening since you there's a whole lot has happened since you and I've been on the same screen, and weeks later we're here again, man. How have you been?
Even even in real life, I think we haven't seen each other in like weeks, if not an entire month. I think that would
Imagine,
like,
and we're in the same city, you and I, by the
dude,
way.
it's it's so crazy. But I've been good. I've been doing really well. Quite occupied with the Olympics, here
Yeah,
and there. So popping my head in to to watch
yeah.
a load of sports that I don't think anybody else really
You
is
know,
entertained by. But
you know, that's the crazy parts. I was also about to be on some. There's been a whole lot of coaching from my end with work, and then coaching, and then there's my late games with hockey, indoor hockey, that is. And it's been very much interesting how a month, like 1 month, can go by as fast as July did, man. And I know we were supposed to have Miss Nosipho here with us, but unfortunately, we still waiting for her. We just waiting for Miss Mojo Mudisake in the background. Sorry, Mo. We just waiting for Miss Mojo to just tell us which Miss Nosipho is here with us. But for now, we're just gonna hold it down for everyone. And Mo, Fi, man, what can we talk about for now? Can we just? Oh, hello.
Hi.
Hi, Ma.
hi.
You good?
Hi, how are you guys?
We're good. We were just literally talking about you right now, and some
Is it?
we
I
just gonna
hope
wait
good
for.
things.
No, no, we're just saying. We would see, fashion really late, like all women do, unfortunately. And I feel like I'm gonna get
Uh-huh.
backlash for this as the only male here.
You definitely are. You definitely are.
you
Yeah.
know, but you're
Yep.
here now, so we can carry on with the show, and I'm happy to finally have you here on the screen with us. And I'm sure
Thank
Miss
you for
Vida will
having me.
also say the same. But for now, I'm just going to introduce you and say welcome to our Tuesday show with myself as well. Miss Vida has just left us.
Uh-huh.
Nosipho Njokweni. Like, ma'am, how you been? I know I'm about to introduce your whole career to the rest of the people. But for now, can you just tell us how have you been, and how are you finding the weather actually wherever you are here in South Africa?
Well, in the morning it was cold, windy, but now suddenly it's
Yeah,
warm. I was just outside like 20 minutes ago. It's actually warm.
yeah.
So I'm not a
I-
winter person,
It's
so this weather is driving me insane.
yeah, it's crazy where during the day indoors you find that it's cold, but outdoors there's a whole lot of sun
It's
for you to
warm.
be able to
Yeah.
enjoy, and it's warm. Whereas late at
Yeah.
nights outside it's actually cold, indoors it's warm, which is crazy. But
Warm.
Miss Nasipo, like everyone, like I'm about to introduce you and just say
Yes.
she is a legend of the game. She has I'm gonna say a
I
legend
love that.
because, man, yeah, I'll say a legend because I like when we have, like, I like meeting people who've gone on to represent the country. I call them patriots. They've gone on to represent our
Thank
country
you.
with grace and pleasure, and also been able to pick up their hand whenever they've been needed. I mean,
Hmm.
ma'am, you are a former SA basketball SA women's. You've represented us in the Africa Beast qualifiers until the latter stages of your career back in 2015.
Yes.
You are
Yes.
currently, last year you were announced with Miss or Mrs. Nomalanga Hlophe as the
Yes.
two women who are going to whip up a women into taking Africa, all the world by storm. As you ladies
Yes.
were announced as the coach and assistant coach, which is you are Ms. Nosipho Njokweni. Can you please tell
Yes.
us, like, you literally basketball in South Africa. Let's talk about that. How do you fall in love with the game of basketball? Because it's literally not one of the mainstream sports that people actually go on to falling in love with, especially when it comes to women. Women usually go
True.
into the side of netball, or they go into football, as I want to say this. You are a black South African woman. How do you find basketball, and
Yes.
how did you fall in love with it?
So I'll start from the beginning, just a bit.
Yeah,
Originally, Nosipho Njokweni, uMadlamini, from Eastern Cape, right? So I was born
yeah,
and raised in New Brighton. So funny enough, I got introduced to the game of basketball by my brother, who never played
mm,
a sport in his life, and who didn't know what was happening with sports. So I grew up playing
yeah,
every single sports. There's no sports that I didn't play. But for some reason, because of my height and I was skinny and I was always being dirty playing with
yeah.
boys, he thought, because I like Michael Jordan, because Michael Jordan was his fan. He just bought me a basketball ball and said, just see what you do
Black
with it
Jesus, yeah,
and figure it out. And then that's how it started. Yes, that's how it started. So when I started playing with males because in my era, I'm still young though. In my era, there was not a lot of female basketball players.
yeah,
And especially from our high school, primary school, and all of that, no one knew about basketball. So that's how I started glimpse of basketball. And then going forward in being named as the assistant coach of the national team, whew, it was the second most proud time of my life.
yeah,
Because going back to my childhood, growing up in Kasi, in an environment where there's alcohol, there's abuse physically, mentally, and then there's
mm,
drugs around. So I was lucky enough to make sure that I'm around sports. And in that way, I decided that I don't want to be a typical girl from Ikas. So I knew exactly where I wanted to go. That was number one for me. And then number two, I realized any sport at that time, when it comes to females, it was not as popular, right? So that's when
yeah,
I started my love of female sports, regardless whether basketball, netball, soccer, whatever sports. But as long as it's female sports. I'm very passionate of it because of my background and looking what is happening at us. Because we've got so much talent, especially as Black women, but
mm,
because of everything that is surrounding us, everything is just a shadow. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. I mean, so right now we are live on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and yeah, Instagram,
Yes.
YouTube, Facebook. And I mean, I'm sure there are a whole lot of girls who are listening to you and right now. But I mean, one thing I'm finding is a whole lot of women are saying they got introduced by the sports by a male figure in their lives. So you mentioned your brother there. Could you say your brother actually had an impact in your
Yeah.
in your upbringing and career, especially when it comes to the way you handle yourself on the field, off the field also.
Yes, he did, because as I mentioned, he did introduce me to the sport. But because fortunately for me, not most women are fortunate like me.
Mm,
As I mentioned, Ekasi, where I grew up, there was a lot of ginza happening, drugs, alcohol, and all of that. So in the area that I grew up in, so the ginzas, we call them mama ginza. Yeah.
yeah,
So
I feel like that's
what
weird.
yeah, what they love to do is that when a kid, it doesn't matter whether it's a female or male, when they see that they're very talented in sport,
Mm,
they manage to protect that person. So I was one of those females that was lucky enough to be part of those girls. So they in their way as well, they kind of had an impact in my life. And definitely I
mm,
must say, my brother as well did have an impact in my life, because growing up I never had a dad or a mom. So
yeah,
my brother kind of played that father figure role, and with my grandmother as well, because my grandmother's raised both of us.
yeah,
So including my brother and all the other, some of the males in Ekasi. So they definitely did made a lot of impact in my life. And again, I'm not as lucky as everyone else. Yes, bad things happen. There's a lot of horrible things that did happen to me, but at
Yeah.
the end of the day, it took me where I am today.
Yeah. I mean, you mentioned the fact that you had Ukoko in your life, and my condolences with regards to your parents.
Thank
What
you.
did what did your grand say when you told her ukuthi ayi gogo mina indaba nje ukuthi ufuna ukuthi ngiyohlala e-office ekhaya nje angiyiboni gogo nayi mina ngizibona ngiya lana this is my
Yeah,
pathway this is where I see myself actually basically enjoying myself and actually having something to leave back and
yeah,
actually now you also didn't know and I'm sure you'd have been some I wish to leave an impact one day. Like, what did your grand say when you told her? Was it you want them this is your pathway. This is not your pathway that she
yeah.
has for you, planned for you. This is the one you have set yourself.
Fortunately for me, right, my grandmother was a principal. She was a teacher, and
Okay.
um, and typically at home, we've got doctors, we've got nurses, we've got like everyone who's ever
Yeah.
went to school. So their path for me, it was not what I've decided to take
There's
today.
always that one, hey? There's
Um,
always that one in the
yeah,
in the family.
so I'm one of those.
Yeah.
So the good thing though, my grandmother taught me was that she saw the passion that I had, and
Yeah.
she was, to be honest, she was confused. She was confused herself,
Yeah.
and it was not for me. It was not a matter of me sitting her down. She saw the path that I'm going through.
Mm,
I'm going to, sorry, and then it took a while though to accept the path that I wanted, because remember at our year at our time, sports was non-existent. You either,
mm,
especially as a female, you either needed to be a doctor, a nurse, or lawyer, or a teacher at most, right? So now you're coming in your household and say, I want to be in sports. They don't understand that. But
mm.
again, fortunately for me, I never had to sit her down and say, "Hey, Gogo, this is what I want to do." She saw from my actions, and then she
Yeah.
saw from the fact that I was forever in the sports world, and I was
Mm,
forever mentoring other kids as well. And I also, like, especially at the age of 18, I started to have tournaments in my neighborhood. I started to have clinics in my neighborhood, and she helped out a lot
sure.
at that time, because she saw that it was something that I love doing. And she would always say, as long as you're doing what you're doing and it's taking you out of the streets, I'm happy. And as long as it's the path that you want to take and you're happy about it, go for it. So she
Mm.
always instilled the fact that as long as I'm happy and when I start something, I need to make sure that I finish it. That is what she taught me, and I still have those words in my head till today.
Yeah. So can
Yeah,
we gladly say if it wasn't for Ugogo and your brother, we wouldn't have Nosipho and Njokweni. Um
definitely.
we wouldn't the world would not well SA basketball would not have been able to experience the level of dedication that Nosipho and Njokweni put in her country that she did for those many years that she did. I mean, how was the transition from going from amateur, which
Hmm.
is your early years of basketball, to now you want to transition into professional in SA basketball? How was that pathway? Did you? I'm sure you had obstacles, and could you share at least like two or three obstacles that you found along the way, and how were you able to overcome them? Because whether you're male or female, you do get a few obstacles, especially
Yes, definitely,
especially in this country. We get
definitely.
a whole bunch of obstacles, and it's all. And you mentioned something very very important: the mental, the way
Hmm.
you challenge yourself mentally, and the way you push through. How were you able to push through and get to where you are from being a young female amateur basketballer to a professional? How was that transition?
You're right. It was definitely difficult, and especially coming from Eastern Cape, right? number one, Eastern Cape basketball in Eastern Cape was non-existent,
Mm.
and I could count in my hand how many male figures that were playing basketball at that time. But I told myself that it's a path that I wanted to take, and funny enough, at that time I was both playing netball and basketball. And till today, most people still come to me and say, "Hey, you could have gone far with netball," and I don't feel like that. So the transition for me, as much as it was difficult, again, I was lucky. And for some reason, I don't know why, I still ask the same question.
Yeah.
I still I ask myself the same question. I always have males around me that either they guiding me where I want to go, or they push me to a limit. So where I'm going is that when I started to from
Mm.
Eastern Cape, and then starting to gradually start trying to be professional, as you put it, I got in
Yeah.
lucky enough to be scouted by one of the, for me, most talented coaches in the country, Coach Mandla. Coach Mandla is a
Okay.
head coach at UJ, so he's the one who changed the path. And then that's when I decided, you know what, I didn't make a mistake of what I want, where I wanted to go.
Yeah.
So that's my journey in 2006, 2005. I started my journey in coming to Joburg, and officially I was in Joburg in 2006. So I had to start from scratch in
Yeah.
terms of the training, my mental toughness, my body as well. I had to make sure that I go to the gym to get myself stronger, and both mentally and physically. And when I came to Joburg, remember, I'm a Xhosa girl. I know no other language but Xhosa and
Sure.
English. So when I yeah, so when I got to Joburg, yo, these ladies were talking languages I don't understand.
And
So
it's
it
the
was a
fourth place of
struggle.
Johannesburg also is here you where
Exactly.
you used to Eastern Cape where everything is just calm.
Yes. So it was definitely a struggle for me. And on top of that, I'm coming from a province where I was kind of a superstar in
Mm.
people's eyes in the province. And now I'm coming here, I'm the underdog. No one knows me, no
Nobody.
one cares about
Yeah.
me. And they work. Like basically every single day, I would be in a basketball court twice a day, and I'll be
Sure.
at the gym once a day, every single day. And you have to remember, on top of that, you still have your studies to make sure that you pass, because one of the things that he made it clear that he doesn't want failures, whether it's
Yeah.
outside basketball or whether it's inside basketball. So gradually, that's when I started to understand the path that I was going for. Because remember, back home in Eastern Cape, yes, I understood where I wanted to go, but I didn't have the tools for me to be where I actually wanted to go. So that's when everything changed for me. and
Yeah.
um and it took me 9 years to make the national team, the senior
Sheesh.
national team. And every single day of that 9 years, I would cry and ask myself why I'm doing this. I would ask
Mm.
myself, why am I keep on putting myself in a heartache so much? Because every single
Mm.
year I would either be the 20th player or the 15th player in that 9 years, right? But for some reason, I would go back and have a disappointment, but I would like, I'm going back again.
Mm.
So it was tough. I don't want to lie, it was tough. But the day I made the national team, I told myself I am not ever gonna be the 15th player. I am gonna
Yeah.
be the starting lineup player.
Yeah.
So ever since I started my career, that's what has been happening. And again, I was lucky enough to always be surrounded by males that want nothing for me than me to be successful. And then they seen my goal where I wanted to go. So as much
Yeah.
as it was difficult, and yes, it was difficult, and there was a lot of tugs and tribulations in between. But yeah, yeah, it was fun at the same time.
So you mentioned the fact that you finally got your call up into the national
Yes,
side. How was that feeling? You receive a call, okay. So let's say I'm the coach right now, right? I'm the coach.
hmm
The phone is ringing. Hello?
yes,
Nosipho and Njokwe. Can I speak to Nosipho and Njokwe?
Njokweni,
So this is
yes.
Njokweni, sorry, Njokweni. This is
Yeah,
coach, and you've been called up for the national side.
yeah.
How are you feeling in that very moment when the coach tells you, "We'll see you finally made it
So
after the
my first
9 years"?
time, the 10th year, let's go back.
Yeah,
So the 10th year when I got caught up, right? I was at the gym, at the basketball, at our gym at the UJ gym.
yeah,
So when I called the call out, I thought it was a mistake. Like,
sure, sure.
I thought, there we go again. They're gonna tell me the same thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I picked up the phone, and then I was shooting with my coach, talking about the because I was coming from the camp, talking to
Mm,
my coach, asking how everything went, and everything. So I'm explaining everything, and my phone rings, and then I pick it up, and then the person introduced myself as the head coach of the national team. I was like,
mm.
oh, okay. So in my head already, I was like, there we go again. I'm used to this. So I need to get ready now for the
Oh,
following
where's the
year, right?
positivity there, though?
So
Come
wait,
on.
but I was not at that time. I don't want to lie. I was not, and they caught me off guard. So I was
Yeah,
not. I was not ready at all. I was like, in my head. Oh, there we go again. Let's for now. From today, I'm gonna get ready because I know what news are gonna come. And then
yeah.
when they say, "Oh, anyway, please pack your bags," and I was like, "What?"
Jeez.
I even gave my coach the phone. I'm like, wait. Can I give coach the phone and then you can explain to coach what you say, what you're saying? Because I was like, what? Okay. And then I spoke to them, and then I saw his smile, and then it was like, dude, you're in the team. And I'm like, what?
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah. And he
Jeez.
said that 3 times to me. I was like, are you sure? I kept saying, are you sure? And then after that, I picked up the phone to talk to the head coach of the national team. And then he explained to me, yes, I understand you haven't been making the team for so long, but we love the growth
Mm,
and we love the hard work that you've done. And I was like,
definitely.
oh, okay. So what do I need to do now? So that was a question that I asked. Okay, what do I need to do now? Do I need to go to the gym? Is there training program I'm gonna get? And then he was like, oh, okay, for now, just relax, enjoy the fact that you've made the national team, the senior national team, and then everything else is gonna follow after that. So that's how my first call came in. It was,
Yeah.
and then after that, it was excitement after excitement. So when now my shift going to the gym, it was not a matter of me getting to the national team. It was me getting
Sure.
better in making sure that I'm gonna stick and I'm going nowhere in the national team. So
Yeah, yeah.
it was great.
Man, I can just imagine. So
Oh,
you play, you represent us, you represent the country for all those years. You become a veteran. You finally go and your last competition. You finally go and represent us in
yeah,
the Africa Beast basketball qualifiers, which would have
yeah.
ultimately sent you guys into the Rio Olympics, and then you finally hang up your boots. How was that? How was that transition from being a player and then finally, before we get to the other stuff, how was you waking up every single day being a player to now you're Sam, you know what? I feel like retiring. How did that call come up? Where you're Sam, like from 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 like a young age I've been playing basketball. I feel like
Yeah.
it's time for me to hang up my boots. Like what made you think it was its time?
So for me, I made the call of hanging up my boot actually in 2013, right?
Mm,
When I saw that women's basketball is not. I don't want to say it's not taken care of, but
mm,
we've got few coaches that are passionate about women's basketball. and
sure.
also you have to remember when we compare between male basketball and female basketball, the dynamics are not the same. Yes, we
You
bounce the
know,
same ball. Yes, we shoot in the same hoop, and
yeah,
yes, we play in the same court, but the coaching itself, it is not it is not the same as you would coach males, right? And me
mm,
coaching actually starting when I was younger. I started enjoying coaching when I was doing back home the clinics. I was doing I was mentoring other kids. So that's when my coaching started. But I had to let it go because now I wanted to grow my career as a player as well. But it was always something that
Sure.
was there. And then in the backbone, as much as I was still playing in the national team, I was still playing in the provincial teams, I was coaching. So I was coaching young kids, female kids, and every single day when I would go coaching, I would find a girl who looks like me, and I would find a girl who struggled like me, but now they
Sure.
don't have a way, like they don't know where to go, right? And they don't know a direction exactly what they're gonna be doing.
Yeah.
So slowly but surely, that's when the love for me for coaching started. And as much as I was coaching background, 2013, it was when I decided, you know what, when I'm finally done with playing, this is the path that I want to take. But it took me 2013 to
Okay.
2015
Okay.
for me to actually hang my boots.
Finally hang
And
out. Yeah.
yes, finally hanging up my boots. And the only difference that I'm doing now is that I'm coaching. But
Yeah.
my goals and where I want to go, they're still the same as when I was a player.
Yeah. And then
The one thing that I've learned, sorry, the one thing that I've learned when I was a player is that if you start something, you need to finish it.
sure.
And if you say that you are passionate about basketball, either you're playing or coaching, it should correlate the same way. And and also one of the most important things for me is the word that I'm looking for is out of my head now. It's
Come on.
I basically want the respect, but
Yeah.
that's not the word that I'm looking for. I'll think about it. So basically, I wanted to respect players, because that was the same as when I was playing. I always respected players, whether I'm playing against you or I'm playing with you. But at the end of the
Sure.
day, when I'm inside the court, it's a competition. So it's the
Yeah.
same with me with coaching, right? Coaching, I'm very competitive. And I think most people are telling me now that I'm more competitive than when I was a
I'm the
player.
same. I'm the same as a coach, probably. Just the
Yeah.
same,
So when
you know.
yeah, so when I was a player, but the difference now is that as a coach, you need to make sure you've got people's lives in your hand. You
Mm.
don't just it's not about you anymore, right? And you need to
Jeez.
differentiate. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's you need to differentiate that you've got people's hands in your head, in your hands. Sorry, you either mentor them in a right path, or you confuse the hell out of them. So
Yeah.
that's not what I wanted to do. I always wanted to make sure with the path that I'm taking, even if I help one kid to get to their goals, I need to do that. So I'm doing exactly that with coaching.
Okay. And then so you go on to earn your stripes as a coach at the Soweto Panthers. You had that journey, and then you end up also becoming, you get announced. So you said that was your second greatest day. Which was your first? Can I first ask that? And the call up into you finally being assistant coach for
Yeah,
the SA women. How did that come
yeah.
about? What was the conversation between yourself and Unomalanga Hlophe, into her entrusting you with her vision for SA women's basketball moving forward?
Yeah. So, as I said, my first call up was when I made
Hello,
the national team
Nosipho?
for the first time. Yes, I'm here.
Yeah.
Hi. Yes, can you hear me? So my first call up is when my first time I ever
Yeah.
enjoyed was for me
Sorry.
to make the national team for
Yeah,
the
I can
first
hear
time.
you.
And then the second time was when I was announced as the assistant coach of the national team females, right? And that was the best time of my life. And I knew when that call up came, it was gonna come with difficulties, and it was gonna come with challenges as well. It was gonna come with a lot of challenges as well. Because you have to remember, when I retired in 2015, for some reason we were banned in female basketball was banned in FIBA. So we couldn't produce any players. We couldn't play outside of our country. We were only playing inside. So for me to be announced as, and when things were opened up and I was announced as an assistant coach. Can you hear me? Hello?
Hi, can you hear me now? It seems
Yes, I can hear you now.
I think his network is gone
Yeah,
bad.
I think it's
Apologies.
network.
Yeah, apologies for that. But you're speaking about quite an interesting topic. Now
Yes,
that you've pointed out, you where FIBA disallowed female athletes
yes,
and female basketball teams
yeah,
to sort of participate, which obviously brought up a challenge towards you guys as
yes.
female athletes.
Yeah. So going back to what I was saying, after I hang my boots in 2015, that was definitely something that I wanted to pursue for me to be a coach, right? And my goal was always been clear that I wanted to be a national team head coach. It so happened that when I got announced and when we went through the selections, I was selected as the assistant coach. And for me, it's not a strange match because it's still going to be the same thing, whether I'm a head coach and or assistant coach. So going into it, I knew that there's going to be a lot of challenges. And as I mentioned, that from 2015, 2016, nothing was happening in our country because of a lot of mishaps that were happening. And yeah, and I knew I needed to put myself out there as a young coach because I'm still young, and I can't even say that I've got experience in coaching outside of our country, and I can't wait for me to do that. So yeah, so that was my second most exciting day of my life as well.
Obviously, as a young coach, I keep forgetting that my mic is off.
Yeah,
I'm not used to that type of challenge. But obviously you've experienced this. I think I posted in the comments as well a little bit about how basketball is not a sport that is in the limelight like rugby, for instance. I mean, we've seen the big role
yeah,
with
yeah,
rugby in the country and the world, in fact,
yes,
as recent as last year and quite now as it is the rugby season. But I mean, you're coming in the ranks of the coaches now, for
yes,
not just the South African national team, but essentially
yes, correct.
the world of basketball. Just trying to carry the baton forward and say, hey guys, this is actually a great sport. I mean, we see it in the US, and
Yes,
how great basketball is in the United States with the National Basketball Association having
yeah,
their
yeah,
massive league with massive teams and massive producing the greats of the greats.
yes,
And you trying to sort of bring that to light in a country where rugby, cricket,
yeah,
and
yeah,
football, I
hmm,
think football is on the top ranks there, is
yeah.
probably almost untouchable.
Yes, you correct. Right now, we're not where we need to be. But the great thing about basketball currently, it is a more sport that is growing quick. Um, and 5 years, 6 years ago, there's a shift that happened in basketball in this country, where now going back because as I work in high school, going back currently right now to each and every high school that I see out there, every high school has basketball, right? So that shift happened 7 years ago. I might not even be saying the exact numbers. It could have happened maybe 7 years ago as well. Every high school right now has basketball. I'm talking about from grade 6 to grade 12. That's number one. Every university has a very competitive league that is happening in the country, right? And I don't know if you guys have seen, there's a team called Cape Town Tigers. So when Cape Town Tigers started to be in the limelight when it comes to basketball, everything shifted, right? And the nice thing is that now it's not only, because if you remember in the back in the day, basketball was only classified for black or colored kids. But now Indian, white, coloreds, everyone, Chinese, everyone now is tapping into basketball. So it's growing fast. And now it's a matter of people like me to go out there and say, hey, let's wake up, because there's something that we can work with here. And the nice thing about what we have in the country is that, as much as you see, when you look at other countries, they're already established when it comes to basketball. You mentioned USA as well. But when you look at the dynamics of USA, yes, they've got their American players that are playing there, but now they've tapped into African basketball as well. And there's a lot of African players that are playing in the USA. And we are developing our own players. So when we're going to be going to competition now, we're going to be playing with our own players. We're not going to be going out there looking for foreign players. We're playing with our own players. And the nice thing is that most of our players now, they've got chances to go play anywhere in the world. It's because of the development that we are doing inside our country. And I'm also proud to be one of those coaches that are tapping into the development, and I'm making sure that wherever our players are going to play, even if it's that one player that is playing outside the country, they're going to make sure to come back, and for us, we'll have the best team that we're looking for one day.
Well, I'm sorry, I'm back. Coach,
Hello, welcome back.
You mentioned NBA, Africa. You mentioned America and the African also structures that we have here, where we have NBA Africa, which is currently taking the world by storm. And we off air before you came in, Frida and I were talking about something earlier. Our very proud South African is currently flying the flag, South African flag, Durban flag. Let me just say that.
Yes.
Flying the Durban flag all the way in America. Him being signed as signed being with Rock Nation, sorry, and receiving preseason contract with the Nets. Could you say, whatever Usamkela does from now on can be taken as, if it performs or if it doesn't perform also. Like when I say doesn't perform, I don't mean now we're expecting him to perform like the likes of Stephen Curry or LeBron James, but I mean if he underperforms in the sense of they feel like they don't give him a contract, do you think he has done enough to also show Africa, not just only South Africa, but Africa as a whole has such talent to also be given such opportunities all the way in America, and the type of contracts that we see American basketball players receive, where crazy amounts such as 100 million. Could we also say we have the opportunity, and also he has done enough also to just be on we can also perform and do this?
The good thing about Samkelo is that at the end of the day, he's got nothing to lose, right? He's done the work in the country, and he's shown who he is when he was playing with Tigers, right? And the one thing I love about him is that his mental toughness doesn't only start in basketball. That boy played rugby for a very long time until when he started to transition into basketball. And so he took his mental toughness from rugby, and then he put it into basketball. That's one great thing about him. And again, I'm going to say he has nothing to lose, because whether he makes it and gets that final contract or he doesn't, he's made a name for himself. He's already won. And then thirdly is that NBA is not the only league that is that he can get a contract and get paid in. There's European Euro League, there's Australian League, and in those countries, there's even Chinese League that is coming up now. Those countries he
I was
can
about
even
to say
get
that
as
actually. Yeah.
double the amount of money that he would be getting when he would be signed with NBA. So at the end of the day, he's got nothing to lose. And right now, as much as everyone is looking at him in terms of where he's going to end up, he might come back home. He might end up in Europe. He might end up in China, in the Chinese league. Then again, he's made a name for himself, and wherever he's landing up, he's still gonna be, for me, the best basketball player that we have in the country. And this is not only because of the amount of work that he's putting in on the court. I'm talking the amount of work that is putting in off the court, because you have to remember, for you to be classified as the best basketball player, it's not only about you bouncing the ball on the court, it's also about what you do off the court. Because when you look at it, I'll make an example, and I know he's not doing that. Let's typically make an example for one of the greatest soccer players, Unomvete. One of the greatest soccer players in the country, but where is he today? Do you understand? So because of the work that he did off the court, and then the work that he did on the field, it was two different people. So that is for me. So again, going back to Samkelo, is that whether he makes it in the NBA, I trust that he will make it somewhere. And the nice thing on top of that is that he's going to come back into our country. He's going to make our national team stronger, on top of all the other players that are playing outside the country.
Yeah. You when you and I spoke, you mentioned something about the toughness of growing up eKasi.
Yeah.
You're talking to a gentleman here who also grows up eKasi, and
Yeah.
he knows how impila eKasi banjani, and it can get really tough, you know.
Definitely.
Where you, as a black female, you also said that you guys had a whole bunch of uh, guys from around the way. Let's call them guys. We had guys
Yeah.
from around the way to
Yeah.
kind of protect you guys and be on some. You know what? Nosipho, coach. Well, you weren't coach at the time, but
Yeah.
Nosipho is does such and such, and man, we, like I said, we grew up. We are in a country where if you know you come from a certain background, it can be
Yeah.
very tough for you to kind of break through in whatever industry you're trying to go into.
Definitely.
You know, how was that also trying to being able to fight those demons and trying to be true to yourself and being on some, you know what, this is because you also spoke about some girl, because some girl also fought his demons coming
Yes.
from Claremont is
Because yes.
not popping face also, you know, it's
Yes.
very tough. And
Yeah.
how was it fighting those demons and staying true to yourself and knowing who to funani, what you want for your future? And
Yeah.
eventually, when you look back at it right now, I'm sure you must have a daughter or two where you're on some, you know what? I'm happy I was able to get past
Yeah.
my demons, and for you guys to be able to be where you are right now. How was
Yeah.
that?
For me it was very difficult. And growing up in Tekasi, especially after my grandmother passed away, and obviously with my brother and I, he had to do his thing. I had to find Panda my own way in life as well. It was very difficult. And as much as I was lucky enough to be surrounded by a lot of males, some of them that didn't want anything from me as a female and as a growing up female, there were those that were taking chances to a point where something tragic happened in my life. And I was raped by one of the gentlemen that I thought was helping me. So after that, I had to take a decision to say, am I gonna get stuck in the moment and everything that has happened, or am I gonna go forward? And also, you have to remember, for me, having my grandmother even till today at the back of my ear with everything that she taught me, I knew for a fact that I do not want to be another typical female in ECAS. I don't want to be a female where I get pregnant by 30 guys I get married, I get divorced, and I drink, I do drugs. I knew that at a younger age that that's not the path that I wanted to do, that I wanted to take. And it's so unfortunate with the tragedy that happened to me. Um, it 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 destroyed everything. Because remember, when somebody takes something out of you, because they're thinking they're above you or whatnot, whatever they're thinking, you lose yourself, and you lose a lot of yourself. And at that time, I was alone, and the only thing that that saved my life was sport. Sport truly saved my life, and that is when I decided that this is that at that time it was something that I knew that I don't wanna look at other parts, and I don't want to look at anything else. Sport saved my life. Yo, Smooth, there's no sport I didn't play, especially when that tragedy in my life happened. I played rugby, I played soccer, I played netball, I played. Um, there's no, if you say to me there's a sport, I would be like, I'm there. Because I was running away from what happened to me. At the same time, I was healing from it. And at the same time, I had this thing in my head that I can't have another kid from Ekasi going through what I went through. Because you remember, for me, I went from not having a dad and a mom, and having a grandmother who was my parent, and my brother, and then into now getting my grandmother passed away, and my brother had to find his way into life as well, at the same time as I needed to find my way. And as difficult as it was, and as painful as it was, I knew where I wanted to go. And then another thing that saved me on top of sport was God, because I knew there was no ways I was going to get over what happened to me just like that, right? And from leaving Eastern Cape and coming to Joburg,
Mm.
and doing the work and doing what I love to do, I didn't forget, but at the same time, I knew it will never happen to any kid that is in my hands, the same thing
Sheesh.
that happened to me. So all of that, as you just mentioned, when you're coming from Ekas, you would find talented kids that would drink, use drugs, as talented they are. Same thing that happened to me as well. And it's just a matter of you deciding whether do you want to continue and feeling sorry for yourself, or do you want to heal yourself. And the healing part is very difficult, and the healing part, it needs you to reveal who you are. And
Yeah.
again, I was fortunate enough to be surrounded by a lot of people that wanted to help. Until today, I'm still surrounded by a lot of people that know my background, and a lot of people that want to see me win. And as you mentioned, I've got two boys now and a little girl.
Mm.
And when I look at them every single morning, I know for a fact I didn't make a mistake. And I know for a fact, yes, a lot of things happened to me, but there's a reason why they happened to me. It's either I take it forward and positively, or I go the negative route. And I didn't want to do that.
Sure.
So I have a question for you, and
Yes.
I think it touches on what you've just spoken about,
Yeah.
which is challenges that is commonly faced by children of color in this country,
Yes.
and
Yes.
across the continent as well. Um,
Yeah.
your story and Sam's story, for example, is quite similar in the sense where and you sort of getting your call ups, or getting your recognition at
Yeah.
ages like 18, 19, 20, or
Yes.
in that phase in your life, which is great, especially when you come from backgrounds like that.
Yeah.
But if you take an African boy like Giannis, for example, who got drafted
Yeah.
at the age of what, 17, 18,
16.
19,
16.
to
You
the
are
bus.
16, turning 17. Yes.
Exactly. In the NBA, it's sort of, it is a disadvantage to youngsters. Those are the ages that we need youngsters to
Yeah.
to be exposed to
Yes.
big levels of not just basketball, but I think sports as a whole. And
Yes,
that's
correct.
something that we're seeing in this country and in this continent. Um, you did make mention of the inclusion of basketball, for example, in
Mm-hmm.
schools.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it looks like in places like Claremont or Manenberg or Chatsworth or
Yeah.
Kwamashu.
Yeah.
Whereas I can say confidently that a Durban High School or a what is the Grasshoppers Glenwood High School has
Yeah.
access to basketball courts and beautiful basketballs.
Yeah.
But what does it look like ekasi to then be able to allow kids to have that access and then essentially participate at high level at young ages
Yes.
like 16, 17, 18 in the
Yeah.
basketball Africa League, so
Yeah.
that it's
Do you know?
at a great level, at the same level as the NBA.
Yeah. Do you know what the challenge we have? And going back to EKAS, the challenge we have, EKAS, is that we talking. Let's talk about one household, right? You're gonna get Nosipho. Make an example. You're gonna get Nosipho in one household. That Nosipho is has a grandmother that is a sole provider for her, right? Ugogo doesn't know what basketball is. That's number one. And what she would want for you is for you to go to school, get a job, get married, and that's it. Have kids, and that's your life, right? And now our parents and grandparents, they don't know that currently right now kids can go to school for free through sports. Let's
Mm,
not only talk about basketball. Kids can go
yeah.
to school through sports for free, right? But they don't know that, and no one is going back to Ekasi again in teaching them that, right? And no one is sitting down with all the parents, the grandparents, the uncles, and saying, Eish, I know you've got Usbu that is so talented. Usbu is playing rugby. I'm coming from Lions, right? And I'm looking at this boy, the talent that he has. Do you know that I can take this boy from point A to point B? Because Mama Kasbu is only looking at Usbu. Dude, you've got three siblings that you need to take care of. I need to go
Mm,
wash. I need to go wash laundry for us to get to be able to get bread in the table, right? So, as much as the talent in Ekasi is there, but also we've forgotten the teaching the parents, teaching the uncles, and saying that if you've got a certain sports kid, this is how you need to manage that sports kid. And also you have to remember also, no one has taught our parents the difference being a sport kid, an educated kid, and just a kid that wants to be a strategy on the streets. Those are three different human
yeah.
beings. A kid that is playing sports, they already see their vision and they know what they where they want to go. But around them, people are like, what are you trying to do? You're trying to tell me that you want to play soccer. What is that? There's no money there. I want money now. Do you understand? Rather than a kid that is going
Yeah.
to go to school and get a job immediately after getting to school and have a career and bring money in the at home. So I think for me, those are the challenges that we haven't sat down to look at where do we need to teach. Because you have to remember, in sport, you are teaching you're not only coaches. That's what I've taken into. So if I've got a kid that is in, for example, Amante Stars is my sports club. Amante Stars, I've got this brilliant kid. Let's say I see Mona Lisa playing basketball on the streets, right? She doesn't have shoes, she doesn't have kit, she's just dirty, right? So my job as a coach is to make sure I know where the kid is staying, right? I know what they want to do at school and how are their grades. And then after that, find out who is the kid staying with at home. And by me doing that, I'm not only teaching or coaching the kid, I'm also coaching and teaching the parent or the grandmother or the uncle or whatnot. Because you have to remember, when for example, when I started my club, I knew there's kids that are going to be able to fund for themselves into the club, and there's kids that are not going to be able to do that. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that I need to now differentiate who the kids are. I need to make sure the kids are the same regardless. So I
Yeah.
think going back, and I know I've spoken a lot, going back as much as the talent is there, not only in basketball. And I could remember in my era when I played basketball, every single, for example, in New Brighton, every single Kasi has a basketball court. Every single Kasi has a coach of some sort, right? But now it's a matter of teaching those coaches how to, and giving those coaches tools in terms of growing their talent as well.
Yeah. I mean, Faida, you'll agree with me. I feel like an hour is not enough to talk to Nosipho. I feel like we still have
No.
more to pack with the Nosipho, honestly, because I still have more to talk to you about, and I'm sure
Yeah,
we have some listeners who are listening and watching on whatever platform that they are watching on. There's still more I
yeah,
feel like we need to talk about because
yes,
your story alone from I have still from what you've told me, the snippets. I didn't want to unpack everything all at
yeah,
once, right? I
yeah,
still have
yeah,
a lot of questions to ask you
yeah,
and just to get to know
yeah.
you a whole lot better. I feel like an hour was not enough, but to be honest, I firstly I would like to thank you for your dedication and for everything you did for the country, and your story has been amazing. I'm sure Faida would agree with me. If she doesn't, then that's her story. Joking.
Thank you so
Um,
much.
but honestly, we are grateful for everything you have done for the country, and we're grateful for everything you've done for the little girls also you have taken under your wings. And your story has been amazing. Everything you have went through and been able to overcome. And I'm so happy. Like, I'm a very positive person. Fido will tell you. I'm very, like, the fact that you have had so much you had to go through. Literally, when you said what happened to you, I literally just went into a, a place of. But I was like, you know what? I'm so happy you where you are, and I hope your
Yeah,
daughter also one day follows the footsteps of her mother, her amazing mother
yeah.
also, Faida. I don't know, man. Like, this lady has been amazing, honestly.
Thank you
I
so
can
much for
agree
having
with
me as
with
well.
I can agree with you in saying that we can continue this conversation, and I hope that in the near future we get to have more conversations like this, especially around basketball,
Definitely.
which is growing
Literally, yeah.
immensely in
Yeah,
this country. Yeah.
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 No,
But
definitely an hour, you're right. An hour is not enough, but I had the time of my life.
I've one more question. I feel like Mo's gonna kill me for this. What is next
Yeah.
for Nosipho Njokweni / Zamini?
So Uma Dlamini, what's next for her right now is my end goal is for me to have a ladies South African professional team. And
Mm.
I've started that. And
Yeah, definitely.
I need Mula to come, people need to come
Yeah.
support, and these girls need to come out. So that's my number one goal. And my number two goal is for me to go back in our ears to have a sports academy for females,
Mm.
regardless what sports they are looking for. Those are the two things that I'm looking forward to. The good thing is that with the professional team, it has started, and the girls that are coming into the academy, into my club, they're very talented, and
Mm.
that's when I'm starting with the development of every single thing that's going to be unpacked
When
in
you've
the future.
started, you know who to call now. We need to be your first call and be on some
Yeah.
guys. I have some amazing ladies here. Can you guys please help me out and just cover
Yes.
whatever you guys need? We'll be. I'll honestly be there for you. I know Fighter also
Thank
will
you
be
so
there.
much.
But honestly, it's been amazing talking to you, and I'm sure all the listeners also have enjoyed your story, hearing your story, and
I
hearing
hope
what you have
so.
to say. But until next time, Madam Nini, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
But anyways, guys, to everyone who's been listening and watching, that is us for the day. From myself, Spoon over and Miss Spider Crouch, with sitting down with Miss Umajamini Nosipho Njokweni. Thank you guys for being here wherever you're watching. Hope to catch you guys on Thursday when Miss Spider Crouch is back with her guest, of which you guys, if you are listening and watching, please don't forget to press that follow or subscription button and the like button also, guys. Come on, we need those likes. It's not like we don't need those likes. We need those likes. Ms. Faida, thank you very much for joining me and helping out when my network decided to just give up on me.
You're welcome to anytime. I'll see you guys
Shot,
on
man.
Thursday.
Shot. Thank you. Bye bye.